Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Let's Talk About Things and Stuff. It's been a while.
It has.
I am your friendly neighborhood youth guy, Matt Parker, and this is my good friend, Caitlin.
Hey.
How you doing today, Caitlin?
Not too bad.
Did you work today?
No, but I got to hang out with some toddlers.
Toddlers, preschoolers, real moms.
Yeah.
Love it.
It was fun.
Yeah, good times. Do you enjoy, like, what age do you most enjoy hanging out with? Like, because you do student ministry stuff, you volunteer with elementary stuff sometimes, and preschoolers.
So it depends on the context and the time that I'm spending with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've most enjoyed the youth group and teenagers, but there will forever be a soft spot for toddlers because that's the age group I first started working with when I was working with kids.
Yeah.
So
I love toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when they run down the hall and they're like so excited to be there about everything.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they're, except for when they're not excited about anything and they're crying,
Right.
and that's the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Because I can handle toddlers for, a couple hours at a time, but I can't do a full-time preschool position. I've tried it, and I respect anyone who can, because that is not an easy job.
Right.
Not easy whatsoever.
Yeah.
So.
I believe it. Well, hey, so we're really glad that you joined us for this edition of Let's Talk. Hey, I've got something for you. You've been what's your favorite song? What have you been listening to mostly right now?
So, I've got two main areas and genres that I'm listening to. One is 90s and 2000s country.
Oh, my favorite.
Because that's just what I've grown up on.
Yeah,
and
that's the best country.
I've found some songs that I forgot about and all that. But then, when I go and work out, I'll do some form. It's a mix of worship and Christian rap that I listen to.
Okay.
So.
What's a worship song that gets you fired up? It's.
The one that I enjoy the most and that gives me that energy, it would be "Count 'Em" by Brandon Lake.
Brandon Lake.
Yes. There's a handful from that album, I don't remember what it's called, but that are in my playlist that I love.
Right. So you said count 'em?
Count 'em.
Count 'em. All right. What's a phrase that is a memorable phrase from that?
So I love both verses that are in that song. I don't know if there's actually more, but
right.
two of it's just a energetic song anyway, but in the beginning, one line is, "You got wonder working power pouring out of your side."
You got wonder working power pouring
out of your
side. Okay, so that's a reference to Jesus on the cross.
Yes.
Gets the spear stuck in his side to make sure he's dead.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I got a challenge for you guys. This Sunday at church, I want you to accost Caitlin with those words. You got wonder-working power pouring out of your side from the Brandon Lake song, Count 'Em. You might want to listen to it a few times because you got to get it exactly right. You got wonder-working power pouring out of your side. And I've got a $5 Culver's gift card for the first 5 people who run up to Caitlin.
Okay.
And you can sing it if you want. You can say it like a poem. You can whisper it. Or you can shout it. Doesn't matter. You just gotta go right up to Caitlin on Sunday morning and be like, "You got wonder working power pouring out of your side." What do you think?
Yeah. It also shouldn't be hard to find me on Sundays, because I'm usually I'm greeting or I'm just hanging out in the lobby sometimes.
Heck yeah. And you're at the Next Steps table sometimes. Yeah. Find her at the Next Steps table. Turn in your Next Steps card.
Yes.
Get your free gift.
If you're visiting.
If you're a visitor.
Because members don't get a free gift, unfortunately.
Oh, I remember now. I tried to get one time, and I couldn't because I work here. All right. Okay, well, let's move on. What are you consuming in the cultural arena right now?
So,
what you been doing?
I feel like we talked about it previously, of reading for fun.
Yeah.
Just on the side.
Love it.
Since the beginning of the new year, I have really gotten into reading books, and I'm a sucker for just a good, simple rom-com.
Yeah.
And so I've gone through I want to say 4 or 5 of them since the beginning of the year. Probably more at this point. But I just started one a day or two ago, and it's sports affiliated. She's a former ballerina / like dance owner, like has her own studio, and then he is a famous football player. They've been best friends their whole life, and so that's where it's at. They're starting to develop into a story. I think it's a fake dating situation, and then turns into real dating.
That's amazing.
So,
okay, you're giving me vibes of a movie from the 1980s, and I can't remember what it's called. If you remember, if you know what this movie is called, shoot us a message because I want to remember. But it's a hockey player who's washed up and is like not able to play,
mm-hmm.
and a figure skater. Do you know this movie?
She needs to do
and she needs a partner, but she can't. She's like totally. You can't work with anybody. She's
tough to work with.
Right, and
a little dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know this movie?
I know the movie you're talking about, and I'm also blanking a name to this movie.
This sounds very similar
mm-hmm.
to the movie you just described, except it's ballet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And football.
Yeah, she was a ballerina. I think she had gotten into an accident that ended her potential career of being a professional. So she just owns a dance studio and teaches others.
Okay.
And then he actually got to go off into the NFL and is good.
So it's not the same.
But it's still sports.
It's a similar kind of...
And they are best friends versus, she's not good to work with.
Okay, I love rom-coms, and this is one reason why. Because there's, a structure to it.
Mm-hmm.
Things are probably going to turn out okay. The guy's going to get the girl, the girl's going to get the guy, whatever thing. And there's always going to be, they'll get together, and then there's some major betrayal
mm-hmm.
or minor betrayal that's really played up into being a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they find a way to forgive and come back together.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the structure of a good rom-com. My favorite rom-coms are from the 90s. Sleepless in Seattle. That might have been late 80s. And You've Got Mail. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, put them both together.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I've heard good things about them. I have yet to watch either of those.
Right. But those are not books. You're talking about actual, reading the book, rom-com book.
Right.
I have not done that. Although, some of the old, classic literature would probably be more like romantic comedies, like Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice.
mm-hmm.
Those are kind of rom-com books.
Yeah.
And I have read those. So I'm actually kind of a sucker for a good
mm-hmm.
rom-com. Yeah.
It's a good, comfort genre for me.
Yeah.
So.
I have been reading, though. I've been reading Count of Monte Cristo. I'm about halfway through, and it's 600 pages in, right? This thing is thick.
Yeah.
Man. It's 1,200 pages, and I've just now figured out who the Count of Monte Cristo is. Anyway, but what I've been doing, I watched Dune a couple of weeks ago,
mm-hmm.
For the first time. Never read the book,
okay.
and it was good. It was long. It was slow. The characters, you don't really know anything about them. I'm sure in the book they describe them and do some character development. Skip over all of that in the movie,
mm-hmm.
and it's just straight to the character as they are. So it was kind of slow and hard to follow, but
I feel like there'd be a lot of sand.
Lots of sand. Lots of scenes panning over the sand. Lots of people staring slowly over the sand, walking weirdly over sand. It's.
Mm-hmm.
I was also disappointed not to actually see the sandworm. You get to see a little bit of the sandworm, but it's tough. It's tough. But also, I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All right, so a lot of people who know me know that I like The Office and Parks and Recreation. Those kinds of witty. 30 Rock is on my list. Witty, fast-moving, kind of little bit vapid. Anyway, TV shows. And Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I keep hearing that I'd really like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started watching it last week, and I really like it.
uh-huh.
I think it's amazing, hilarious. a lot of comedy shows, like TV shows, like I find mildly humorous, but I'm not like belly laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, belly laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Like every episode, multiple times. Love it. I think
Okay.
it's great.
I know
Highly recommend.
Jaren loves that show too.
Yeah, it's got. I mean, it's not a kid's show. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have to keep watch it when our kids aren't in the room because it's
Right.
an adult's. It's a show geared for adults, but
Mm-hmm.
hilarious.
Did you ever watch the original Night Court?
I did.
My
Often.
dad recently rewatched it, and I sat in and watched some of it with him, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, it's a show for adults, but
Yes.
there are some really good
Yeah,
moments in that.
those early '90s comedy shows are
Mhm.
solid. It's
Mhm.
good.
I agree.
Harry T. Stone, Judge Harry T. Stone.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, fantastic. Well, here's our headline of the day. Okay. So there's a New York Times story that came out a couple of weeks ago. That found a bunch of Instagram accounts that were of underage girls and in like skimpy outfits, dancing and doing like basic influencer type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the girls aren't actually running the accounts; it's their moms who are trying to kind of like help them become influencers, social media influencers, so that they can earn money. And they're getting a ton of ad sales and a ton of views and the hard thing about it though is that it's also being exploited by predators and the pervy part of social media are actually the ones who are
Mm-hmm.
really locking in and providing the foundation for these girls to be famous.
Right.
And so it was like this bombshell report. Over 5,000 of these Instagram accounts exist for underage girls. So tell me, what do you think about this whole deal? Like what are your
do we
thoughts?
know the age range first of all for these girls?
Like well they're under 13 for them to be underage. So I would imagine between like 6 or 7 years old and 13.
Because I know the first thing I think of when talking about children and social media, I follow a handful of influencers, have their kids of their own,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some that choose to either cover their face them away from the camera, blur their face in some way to protect their child's identity. But overall, I mean, being the parent as the one that's exploiting their child and using them for this fame and popularity, it's very disgusting in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that's not what a child is meant to be doing
Mm-hmm.
at that age. A child is supposed to be a child, having fun, not trying to make money for the parent.
Right. But question for you.
Mhm.
Okay. What is the difference between Instagram mom and like dance mom or beauty pageant mom?
I mean, I feel like it would be... So, did you ever watch the show Toddlers and Tiaras?
I refuse to watch that show.
It's for the best.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what that is.
Right.
Just...
Like there's the whole is it a Lifetime show or whatever called
think it was
Dance Moms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as... I mean, they used even that show to gain the popularity of their girls.
Right.
And, I mean, that's putting the girls in the most, the grandest of dresses for a 3-year-old.
Right.
And putting fake teeth on them.
Yeah.
And curling their hair. And I'm like...
Like you see these girls who are 3, 4, 5, 6 years
Mm-hmm.
old and they look like they're 20.
Right. And
Right.
you're putting that message in their mind of they need this to be successful
Mm-hmm.
because life is a beauty pageant. Because that's
Right.
all they're being trained to do. And...
So you would say there's not much difference between
No, it's
the
just
Instagram mom and the...
for I mean, it's just the timing of social media versus just not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not as publicized being any pageant or anything like that. You just didn't see it as often
Yeah.
because we didn't have social media as strongly as we do now.
Right.
So, and there are some Instagram moms that are, they'll share about their kid, but they won't necessarily always do it and necessarily seem like they're trying to exploit their kids.
Yeah.
But then there's some that obviously do. and are abusing that.
100%.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that it's appropriate. In fact, I think that kids being on social media at all when they're that young, I don't think that's healthy. And I've seen like sociological studies, psychological studies. The is it the American Psychologists Association or something like that has come out with some studies about the health effects, the mental health effects on young girls especially, but on young teenagers just in general, about just having social media. But it's not just that. It's the way parents interact with that, right? So I think it could be an okay thing and a even healthy thing maybe if a parent is involved in a social media consumption, not in this way though. Right. So I think that like it's not a healthy thing for us to communicate that to our kids, especially when they're so young and impressionable. That unless I'm getting the views and clicks and ad sales and all of these, monetizing my account, unless I can do that, then my worth is
exactly. I mean, because you can look at social media is very easily negative for people my age.
Yeah.
And that's way further developed than someone who was in middle school,
Seriously.
if even there.
Yeah.
And because, granted, when I was growing up, social media was new and it was developing, so we grew up with it. And it was like we were learning with it, and it wasn't the same as it is today, where it is a completely different world. Yeah. It is absolutely terrible.
Well, I've said it before, and I'm not ashamed or afraid to back up my position that the algorithm is destroying human interaction. In fact, I disconnected from the algorithm. Like, I'm not on Facebook or Instagram. If a new social media thing comes out and it doesn't have the algorithm, and I can just look at my friends' posts in order, the way that they're being posted. Like Be Real was that for a while, but they've started doing some algorithmic stuff, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm disconnecting from the algorithm. And so, and it's, I just don't think it's great. But okay, so this is a question for you guys and for you. What do you think is the right age for social media to have an Instagram account or Facebook or Snapchat or any of those? What is the right age?
So I don't think there's a universal age for all of those you just listed, because there's different things that come with each one. I didn't get a Facebook till I was like 20. I didn't really need one.
Right.
Because it's that one. Facebook is more seen for adults to connect with adults and their friends, versus like Instagram is kind of everyone, I feel like. And then Snapchat would be for the younger crowds, because that is more of an instant connection with sending pictures back and forth, whatever. So I couldn't give a good age. At least like middle school and above, because my parents didn't allow me to get social media till I was, I think, 14, and but I couldn't even really access it because I didn't have a smartphone.
Right.
So, and then once you get a now that everyone's gonna have a smartphone as one of their first phones, I guarantee it, because you can't get a little Nokia brick anymore. Right.
That was my first phone, and it was amazing. It would probably still work if there were...
I had one that the keyboard, like, you slid it to the side and it had a whole keyboard.
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Those are pretty cool.
But, then it becomes a factor with smartphones of limiting that screen time, because that would be, I think, the biggest factor is putting limits on things, because without that, that's what they're going to turn into, is, ideating, having that ideation on social media. Yeah. And so...
Yeah. I actually think that is exactly the right... Like, parents, your kids, and so when they're ready for stuff. Don't let them pressure you. My kids tried to pressure me, and and I wasn't having it. And so in fact, I was less inclined if they were so like insistent on getting a social media. I was like, well, you're probably too excited about this. We should probably wait for a while. And so anyway, so that was just my thing. But I think that it's more about a developmental being ready than a specific age. So I think that you're exactly right on that. So anyway, what do you think? What is the right age? How did you approach social media for your kids? Or if you are a kid, when do you wish you would have gotten a social media account? Leave your questions, comments in the comment section. Your compliments in the comment section, and we will see you again next time.